What's up, guys? Welcome to Pedal Stoke 254, your mountain bike and cycling podcast.
Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to yet another episode of Mountain Biking 101. We are so far down with 2 episodes. We've got the mountain bike and we have the riding style and the mountain bike types. Yeah, so welcome back. This is episode 3, and today we are going to be covering mountain bike gear. Yeah, so you know about the mountain bike now. You know what bike you probably need to get. You probably already have chosen a bike. Maybe it's that cross-country bike, maybe that trail bike, or maybe that enduro bike, right? So you're pretty much settled on that. Now, you probably are wondering, okay, what do I need for me to get out on the trail? You know, what gear do I need? What do I need to wear on me? Because I have to say, it's not really recommended to ride naked. You can try. It's not the safest, but it's not recommended. Okay, cool. So here we go. We are going to cover the most basic of mountain biking gear that you'll need to just get started off, and the most important ones that you will need to have your mountain bike hobby or career or interest take off or lift off from the ground. Okay. So first things first, we'll just list them down, the various things that guys need. There's a helmet, there's glasses, there's jerseys, there's gloves, there's shorts or pants, there's socks, shoes, and there's the trusty hydration pack or your backpack, or these days guys have fanny packs, okay? So that's generally all of them, everything that you'll need. And you may not necessarily need all of this at the same time, but as you progress, as you proceed, as you grow in the mountain biking scene, you'll probably find yourself buying more and more gear for you, more and more equipment to just enhance your riding and have you enjoy your time a bit more on the mountain bike when you're out with your friends, or when you're doing that epic solo ride on your own out in the wilderness or out in the forest, whichever forest should you choose to take. Just be careful and don't break yourself, okay? Right, so we have basic gear that's just clothing. You may not necessarily need to buy mountain bike specific kind of clothing when you're starting out. You probably just need a t-shirt and your regular shorts, or just your regular closed shoes that you'd go running with, that you'd go hiking with, and those would work pretty nicely when you're just starting out. Maybe later on when you advance, when you're building your skill, when you want to try out new stuff, better stuff, when you're doing bigger rides maybe, then you can think about getting mountain bike specific attire, mountain bike specific apparel, okay? But for a start, we need to get down the basics, and that's the protective gear. Gear that will save your head, that will save your hands, your elbows, your arms, your knees, your shins. Gears that are built to protect you, that are designed to keep you safe in case anything happens out on the trails. Because things do happen and accidents do happen. People break things, people lose things, people get abrasions, burns, cuts, and all these things. You're out in the wilderness. It's expected to happen. So if that actually doesn't happen, then probably you're not really pushing your limits. You're just staying within the space that you're comfortable in. And that's, well, maybe for different people, but in most cases, that's not the recipe for growth or improvement. So you need to try. At some point, you will find yourself trying new things. You'll find yourself trying new stunts, maybe new tricks and stuff like that. But for a start, the most basic thing that you will need, and I will list them out one by one. For starters is a helmet. Please, I cannot stress this enough. If you are taking to cycling, and it's not just mountain biking, even road biking or whatever kind of cycling that you're doing, please get yourself a helmet as a start. You may miss everything else. You may miss shoes even. You may not necessarily even have shoes, but a helmet. Please get your helmet right, because that thing will save your life, literally. They have replacements for practically almost every other body part, but there's no head implants that I have seen. There's no replacement for your head. Your head is it's a jewel. It's the most precious part of yourself when you're on your bike. So please get a helmet fast. Get a good helmet. There's second-hand helmets that you can get, but you probably need to inspect them and make sure that they haven't been used in a crash before, because they're meant to take just one crash, depending of course on how sturdy they are after the crash itself. But highly recommended that you get your first helmet as a new one. Get a new helmet. They're not so out of reach. There's cheap ones that you can get from, say, Decathlon, or actually local vendors, local bike shops and bike mechanics have helmets that go for about 1,500 to 3,000 bob, and that should really help you. It should keep your head safe, and it'll protect you in case anything goes sideways, because things do go sideways, and you might find a stray rock or even a branch that's just hanging from a tree, and it'll just want to, make its way with your head. And what do you do then, right? So helmet is, I cannot sensitize it enough. Helmet is a must out in the trails, period. No debates about that. Next one is gloves. I say gloves. People have different preferences and different, ideologies in regards to this. But I say gloves are pretty essential, because when you crash, the first thing that you do is try and brace yourself, or try and protect yourself from hitting the ground as hard as possible. And crashes do happen. Crashes will happen. So naturally what you do is you'd stretch out your hands to, just ease the pressure that your body is, or rather just to kind of act like a buffer, or what's the word for this? Reduce the impact that your body will have on the ground, or that the ground will have on your body. Either way, both of you are coming at each other pretty fast. So when you're crashing, what happens is, in most cases, you end up stretching out your hands. And what happens is, if you don't have gloves on, if you don't have some nice, robust gloves on, you'll find yourself having lots of scars on your palms. So you'll find yourself chipping out lots of skin, and depending on where or how you crash or how hard the crash will be, you may end up hurting your hands really bad. I have a scar on my hand that I could have easily prevented, but now it's permanent because I didn't have gloves then. Now, different people have different preferences. Many guys actually ride gloveless, and that's perfectly fine. Some people find gloves to be uncomfortable, which is perfectly fine. If that's you, then that's okay. But for me, I would recommend, especially starting out, as you test the waters, as you just try things out, see whether this is comfortable for you or not, see whether they'll come in handy at any point or not. I'd recommend that you go for gloves and just have them safe for your hands, in case anything goes sideways, in case of any crash, because crashes do happen. And the moment you sign up for mountain biking, sign up for, you have signed up for crashing. And that's probably one of the best things ever. Falling down without any shame is just, it's amazing. So yeah, you need gloves to protect your hands for that, in case anything like that happens. Next level in hierarchy is elbow pads and knee pads. Right, so elbow pads and knee pads, they do just that. They protect your elbows and protect your knees. So in case, and it's not necessarily crashes alone, it's also things that are on the side of the trails. Maybe there's some stray bushes or some twigs somewhere, and they're just out to get you. So in case you don't have these, you may find yourself like being scraped or scratched when you're moving through the forest, moving through the trails, and they just different pieces and bits of items over here and there just tugging on you or just scratching you from wherever it is that that they're coming from. And also, in case of crashes, elbow pads and knee pads do play quite a big role in protecting your elbows, because people hurt their elbows a lot. People hurt their knees a lot. When you crash, you actually end up landing on your knees, or your elbows end up hitting something. And having these is really helpful. You may not necessarily need them. They're not as high ranking as helmets when it comes to protection, but they can be quite essential at some point or on some trails, especially if you're doing like rocky trails and you're not very sure about them. You can try and have elbow pads and knee pads, so in case you crash, even if it's a slow crash, you just fall on the spot, then you can just land on your knees and you'd be comfortable. You can land on your elbows and you'd be comfortable. So those are probably some of the most important, or things that you can probably give priority to as you come into the sport, as you move into riding in the forest or on rock gardens or on whatever space it is that you're riding on. Then there's shin guards and arm guards. These are really, really important, as I came to find out during this year's 2021's Kijabe Enduro race. I had no arm guards or shin guards, and I ended up breaking my arm. So that's actually one of the most maybe, what can I say? I can say it may not necessarily look like it's very important, but sometimes, and here's the thing with accidents, you don't really anticipate them. They just happen. And it's always good to stay prepared. Well, not all the time are accidents as bad as one that will have you break something. Not all the time. Most of the times it's just scratches and bruises, small cuts that you may get here and there. But should you be in a position to get yourself, should you be in a position to get yourself these, please, you can get yourself some shin guards. Shin guards protect you especially from something we call pedal strikes. Right, pedal strikes. I'm sure if you're riding, I'm sure you've experienced this before. A situation where something just slips, your foot slips off of the pedal and your pedals end up hitting your shin, and that is probably one of the most painful experiences ever. And here's the thing, check out almost every mountain biker out there, every single mountain biker out there, they have probably the most dents on their bodies are on their shins, because pedal strikes happen in the most unlikely of places or unlikely of times. So you may need shin guards more than arm guards, but it's all on you. You can choose to have them. Then again, it's not mandatory that you have them. I don't have shin guards myself. I've had quite some pedal strikes, but it's a struggle that I've chosen to pick. So should you choose to pick that struggle, it's okay. You can go on and not necessarily get yourself shin guards or arm guards. But in case you're all about, that flawless skin, that smooth skin all the way, by all means, get yourself shin guards, get yourself arm guards. They will help you in the long run. They will protect you. And in case you get a really hard hit at some point, when you're on the next level of sending stuff, then in case anything goes sideways at that point and you have your shin guards or your arm guards, then you won't necessarily break anything. Yeah, so that's mostly about your shins and your arms. Oh yeah, the reason why pedal strikes are really painful is because of the type of pedals that mountain bikers have, especially trail riding or enduro riding. We have flat pedals that have really long pins, and should that thing hit your leg, it's painful. That's just it. It's just painful. The next level of protective gear that you can choose to get is a neck brace or a chest and back protector. Those three: neck brace, chest protector, back protector. Those may come in handy, but they're mostly helpful where you're doing like downhill rides or really aggressive enduro riding or trail riding. We don't have much of that back here in Kenya, but we're working on building them, doing some amazing work with Peter Mwako and the crew that does Kijabe Enduro Twiga trails, with preparing the Funduros that we have each and every month. And as guys progress, and as more people come in riding, and more people pick up the sport, then more trails develop, and more aggressive trails, more demanding trails come up, and you may find yourself needing these at some point. Maybe not now, but because I realize that the neck brace and chest and back protectors usually are used by downhillers, and we don't have much of downhill tracks back here. So at some point, I'm sure we will have them. At some point, we'll have them as the community grows, as more people pick up the sport, definitely. But for now, they're just some things that you can keep at the back of your mind and know that at some point, you may need these. At some point, they will come in handy. But if you're just starting out, this may not necessarily be something that you need to be very keen with, okay? Right, so of all these protective gears and apparel and all these things, what exactly do you need when starting out? Which are the top picks that I would recommend when starting out as a mountain biker? So yeah, now you know about the mountain bike, you know how it works, you know what's what and where it is. You've chosen your bike. Maybe it's that cross-country bike again, maybe it's that trail bike, or that enduro bike that you just got, or you just bought it you bought it off of a friend or a post on Facebook, someone was selling their bike, and now you want to get out on the trail. So the quintessential bits that you will need as a start. 1, I repeat, helmet. You need a helmet. Do not go out on the trails without a helmet, okay? Second is you need, I do not know how I forgot to mention this, but you need closed shoes, some good closed shoes. I mean, of course, regularly your good old hiking shoes would work, your sports shoes would work, a nice pair of Vans would also work well. That's perfectly fine. And we have mountain bike or cycle shops, bike shops out here that retail nice pairs of shoes. But if all you have are your nice closed sports shoes, they will work as well. Then maybe as you progress, you can get yourself cycling specific shoes, because there are shoes that are designed specifically for cycling. We'll get into that a bit more later on when we're geeking out about bikes and gears and all of that. The next thing up in the list is gloves. Is gloves or are gloves? Whichever. Gloves. I consider gloves to be really important, especially when you're starting out. And then later on, as you progress and as you improve, you can choose whether or not to keep them depending on how comfortable you feel on the grips with the gloves on or with the gloves off. And there's different kinds of gloves. There's full finger gloves, and there's half finger gloves. Most mountain bikers go with full finger gloves, though there's still some who go with half finger gloves, right? Half finger gloves. Mostly cross-country riders go with half finger gloves. Trail riders, enduro riders, downhillers, we do full finger gloves, and that's just our preference. It's not a rule book anywhere. There's still some trail riders or some enduro riders who have half finger gloves. I mean, anything that tickles your fancy, as long as you're happy and you have fun and you get stoked, that's up to you. It's your choice. Feel free to explore the world. Yeah. Next are elbow pads and knee pads. Those would probably be my go-to picks or recommendations as the most essential pieces of body armor that you will need when starting out mountain biking. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to get all of these at the same time. You don't have to buy them all at the same time and be all out in the trail, kitted out and everything. No, not really. I started out with no gloves, with actually just a helmet. I didn't even have glasses. So you can just build up on yourself as you progress. Build up more, buy more stuff, buy more gear, but primarily start with your helmet and a good pair of closed shoes, maybe your sports shoes, your Vans, whichever. Then your gloves, and then maybe your knee pads and your elbow pads. All depending, of course, on your budget and your flexibility. Those are what the most basic ones would be. Later on, when you come to apparel, you'll find out that there's clothes that you probably probably are specifically designed for mountain biking. You know, clothes that are a bit loose for you, especially for trail riders. Clothes that are loose and breathable, they're comfortable, they're strong, they're light as well. There's a special kind of a fabric that is used for them and all of that. Shorts that have pockets with zips so you can, you know, just put your phone away and just zip it up so it doesn't fall somewhere in the trails. And they're really strong as well. Tough materials, waterproof stuff, or pants that have the same, you know, qualities and different kinds of designs, of course, but the same qualities: waterproof, windproof, and all of that, all of those shenanigans, all of those things. And they work really nicely to just, you know, help you get a nice experience of the trails. There's also socks. People, socks are amazing, and socks just look cool. This is just my personal preference. I love socks. I'm a big fan of socks. I am all about socks, and I wear shorts. So socks do help you look really cool. So if you can invest in some nice pair of socks, please do. Happy socks all the way for me, right? Cool. Yeah, so that's basically it for now, and that's as much as we have for the gear that you need just starting out. Remember, this is just mountain biking 101. There's levels of mountain biking that we'll probably talk about later on as we progress, and we'll probably have more guys talking about their experiences and how they got their stuff in, and how things worked out for them, and so on and so on as we carry on sharing. But for now, please make sure you get those things: helmet, gloves, closed shoes, and those are probably the most important. Helmet, gloves, closed shoes, maybe arm guards and shin guards, and elbow pads and knee pads and all of that, but primarily helmet. If anything else you miss, please do not miss a helmet. All right, cool. So that's just it for now. It's been amazing talking about this, and I cannot wait to see you guys out on the trails. I'm a bit off for the time being, broken arm, so I'm not riding. I'll probably just be hiking. And please, guys, the third wave of COVID is getting serious, so please take extra care of yourselves. All right? Right, so without further ado, I shall leave you out there. Go get yourself a helmet, go get yourself geared up and kitted out, and let's meet on the trail. So until then, remember to keep the rubber side down.